Thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Ferrick.
And I'm Juan Condi. In our continuing series of special reports entitled The Brunswick Stew, a local citizens group is asking 8 News to help shine some light on how their local government's doing business.
You guys have uncovered some issues that really raise some red flags.
Oh, yes, we have.
You've basically said you're not going to put up with that or take that anymore.
We're not going to take that.
One of the issues that's really fired folks up in Brunswick County is county government blatantly ignoring safety violations that could be putting families at risk every time they visit the local DMV. Investigative reporter A.J. Legault has this special report.
Built in 1854, overlooking the main drag in Lawrenceville sits the historic Brunswick County Courthouse. Justice is no longer the building's main function, but it still houses the local DMV and the county treasurer's offices. A steady stream of citizens can usually be found coming and going through the front door. And our investigation uncovered that every one of them is being put at risk of serious injury.
So safety issue.
After years as a Virginia state trooper, Bill Hudson's now retired and calls Brunswick County home. Just discussing the situation at the courthouse gets him hot under the collar.
It's just gross negligence as far as I'm concerned.
What Bill calls gross negligence is the way the county's handled structural problems with the courthouse's portico and cupola. Back in 2009, the Virginia Department of Historic Resources commissioned a condition assessment of the building. What was found were a number of structural issues that were, quote, cause for concern. Roof leaks compromising a truss and the girder that supports the north side of the cupola. Bird droppings holding moisture and hastening the deterioration of the lightly framed portico ceiling. Increasing loads on the fragile area standing directly above the front door. The report goes on to say a structural engineer was needed immediately, that it's a matter of some urgency, and that until the engineer's recommendations are fully implemented, county employees and the public need to be protected from falling debris. An engineer was hired. In his report, he concurs with the previous findings and says some things need to be done immediately. Cordon off the entire portico, prohibiting the use of the portico and front entrance. Erect scaffolding under the entire portico ceiling of sufficient strength to protect against collapse of the ceiling. That report was dated October 8th, 2009. Fast forward 3 years and we find the engineer's safety recommendations have been almost completely ignored.
The recommendation was the entire portico should be scaffolded off, and that certainly is not done.
The entire portico is supposed to be cordoned off. That also hasn't happened.
As you can see, anybody can walk up on the portico. It's not even barricaded by a caution tape or anything. It just has a piece of string up there and part of that's down.
Bill is not the only citizen concerned by the county's apparent disregard for safety.
My 1-year-old son right there, if I, walk by and all this stuff fall on us and something happen, we'd be out back. It's crazy.
Bill, you said you've brought this to the county's attention?
Yes, numerous times.
What have they done about it?
Nothing. Not a thing.
So we took the issue to Brunswick's county administrator, Charlotte Woolridge.
How come some of the repairs of both William and Mary and then the private engineer that you hired said it needed to be addressed immediately haven't been done?
From our perspective, it has been addressed. The scaffolding on the courthouse meets OSHA standards, so in our opinion, it has been addressed.
No matter what question we asked Woolridge, we got the same baffling answer. Listen to the exchange.
The engineer's report says that the entire area under the portico needs to be cordoned off. It isn't right now. Why is that?
From our perspective, we are in compliance with the report. It meets all of OSHA standards.
Should people be up there on that area under the portico that's not protected by scaffolding?
The entire area is protected, and OSHA indicated that we are in compliance.
Do you believe county employees or the public are in any way being put at risk with the situation at the old courthouse as it stands right now?
Absolutely not. Again, we are in compliance with OSHA standards.
The answers are baffling for a number of reasons. OSHA, a federal agency, doesn't even operate in the Commonwealth. Look, you go to OSHA's website, put in Virginia, and it says you've chosen a state which operates its own occupational safety and health program. In Virginia, all issues regarding workplace safety are handled by the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry. And we found through Freedom of Information requests that Brunswick County has no record whatsoever that they're in compliance with OSHA or any other state or federal agency's safety standards. Eventually, Charlotte Woolrich told us someone in her office had a phone conversation with OSHA, but they don't have the name or number of the person they spoke with.
What's OSHA had to say about that situation then?
Okay. OSHA said that this is protective scaffolding. This is not scaffolding that you would typically use on construction site. And because it's protection scaffolding, we are in compliance with their laws and regulations.
The only documentation Brunswick has to back up their assertion is this letter from a scaffolding salesman. He tells the county that what they've set up is not by OSHA's definition a scaffold because it's not being used to support employees or materials, and therefore is not subject to inspection requirements. But think about that for a second. The county is claiming that because no one is climbing on this scaffolding, it therefore is not scaffolding by OSHA standards. See, they have signs that say not for use. They're taking that to mean it's safe. But they're missing the point entirely. The issue is not whether all this scaffolding is safe. The issue is whether the scaffolding is adequate to protect folks from being hurt should the ceiling up above it collapse. That's a very real possibility, according to the engineer's report, which once again says scaffolding needs to be put up under the entire portico to protect against collapse. So when it comes to the safety of people using this courthouse, it seems Brunswick County government is asleep on the job.
I don't think they're doing their job.
On top of all the safety issues, some citizens are pointing out a lack of fiscal responsibility. Brunswick County spent about $14,000 over the last 3 years renting what scaffolding they do have at the courthouse. Now, it could have just been purchased for a fraction of that cost. Plans are in the works to completely remodel the historic courthouse, a multi-million-dollar project, but those plans may take several more years to complete. In the meantime, you may want to move quickly when you're entering and leaving the courthouse. And as always, if you have something you'd like me to look into, send me an email to ajinvestigates@wric.com.